T-minus 10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. Minus 5 minutes. Minus for minutes. Minus 3 minutes. Stand by.
How about that?
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome inside Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show. And welcoming 32 U.S. states watching as well here on the Game Plus Television Network. It's a very big program. I'll tell you why. It's because it's the next one. Episode number 1548. I'm here at the Golden Ticket Sports Center. Moose is in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We're excited to have him back on the air. He's here with us for a good time, but not a long time, and he'll tell you why coming up. He's got a very exciting task coming up later on here in the month of August. Jersey Jim Biringer will be with us in hour two, by the way, to talk all tri-state sports down there, looking NFL, NHL, and whatever else. But Moose, you got the summer games coming up. That's kind of your thing. We should tell the people that when you're off for the balance of August here before long, that's like it's your thing, right?
Yeah, it is, and it's a lot of fun. I'm really grateful to be able to be involved in it. You know, it'll be my third Canada Games, and I don't know how many of these I'll get to do or we'll have time to do, but and I've had a really great opportunity to come to Niagara in 2023, to go to the last Winter Games in PEI, and now to be able to go to St. John's, Newfoundland in a few days. It's going to be awesome.
That's going to be fantastic for you. Okay, everybody, we are in the warm-up, and what we do here is the quick six show topics, and we start with the big story. And I feel like everybody's got a different big story in their life, but for me, it largely is baseball, both pro and NCAA level. But the Toronto Blue Jays, who out-hit Colorado 25-8 Sunday night en route to a 15-1 victory over the host Rockies, will be aiming to win the second game of their three-game series tonight. Jose Barrios will be on the mound for the AL East leading Jays, while the league worst Rockies counter with righty Anthony Molina. Now, I've been doing my own thing and busy. I flipped on the television last night. I got home from the lake. I'm like, the Blue Jays are only in the fourth inning here at Colorado. I'm thinking late start. So I caught a lot of the game last night. 25-8, the Jays out-hit the Rockies on the way to a rout, 15-1. I'm like, Colorado is bad. I don't have enough time in my life to watch any games other than the Blue Jays, right? So I'm seeing the Rockies for the first time. I'll say it again. Bad. But that's okay. Blue Jays are motorboating them this week. How much you following what the Bluebirds are doing this week, Moose?
Yeah, and it's good. It's a bit of a slump buster. It hasn't been a great little stretch for the Jays. You know, they haven't been able to be the Jays that went on the run all the way to first place in the entire majors, but they look pretty good. And maybe the Colorado Rockies are exactly what the Blue Jays need. So here's hoping they can get this thing back on track and keep it on track.
Yeah, so game two tonight. And it's funny, by the way. So I was at the lake yesterday with a bunch of my buddies, and we were talking sports. And it was some Blue Jays, a lot of hockey, some NFL, and more NBA than you would think. But we talked about Buck Martinez, and it's funny how we got around to this. Like, they aren't Buck fans as an announcer. Some of them weren't Buck fans as an announcer. And I'm like, how can you not love Buck Martinez on the Blue Jays broadcast? We remember him as the skipper, or at least I do back in the day. You might not be old enough. The manager of the Blue Jays, player, and now in the broadcast. To me, Buck Martinez is the Blue Jays more than Vladdy. And I was a little offended that these guys didn't care for his commentary, but I'm like, I'm not in the mood for a fight. I see he's coming back to the booth, man. That's all kinds of great.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really exciting. And, you know, love him or hate him or like his commentary or don't, he's part of the Jays. And when you hear this voice, it brings you back and you think of the Jays. So synonymous with that team and those broadcasts. Good to have him back.
Yes. Rich in Edmonton tunes in and says the Rockies seem to be a good tonic right now. Moose's term, slump buster. BW in Edmonton says, morning, back in Alberta. Hopefully see the family soon. Good for you, BW. I hope you do as well. I do want to mention something baseball related, and then we'll take a break and come back and do a lot of football and there's very small hockey in the news. So what there is, we'll talk about it a lot and make it a big thing. But for me, and I got tennis on my quick six show topics too. Moose was at the big Toronto tennis event on Sunday. But for me, my baseball is the Western Canadian Baseball League. Moose, all summer long, we've been waiting to get to this point. June, July, August, and now the playoffs start on Wednesday. So we're playing the Saskatoon Berries. We, as in the Moose Jaw Miller Express, we're going in on a 5-game win streak. It's exactly the same as last year. We got hot, upset the Red Sox, upset the Berries in the playoffs last year on the way to the league final against Okotoks, where we lost in the bottom of the 9th inning of the final game. So the playoffs start this Wednesday in the WCBL. That's college baseball, NCAA. So I'm excited about that. And I should mention, Moose Jaw versus Saskatoon in that series, Regina Medicine Hat in the other. And we'll be talking about this a little later on once you adjourn. Navy Don writes in, he says, I went to Montreal for the game on Saturday. Great win. And using the Metro to get to the game was so fantastic. Well, since we're in the opening segment and I said baseball is the big story, I'll say this about Montreal. I have very few regrets in life, but one of the big ones is never going to an Expos game in Montreal. When I was calling Roughriders games for years, because we were in Montreal all the time, but the guys around me either didn't want to go or they had been and they didn't need to go back. And I never did get to an Expos game. It ticked me off. I did go out to Olympic Stadium for football games, and I took that Metro of which he speaks, but I never got to go to an Expos game. That's why I always tell people, Darren, if you are on the fence about going to a sporting event, go. I should have gone on my own. Do you have any sports regrets kind of in that era for you?
Sports regrets is never watched Tom Brady play live. That's one. Had opportunities to go, never did. I wasn't close enough, like I was in the city, but we had people talking about planning trips, road trips, etc., to go watch him play. Never did. And if he had come back for one more year, the Titans were scheduled to play in Tampa. And I was just like, we're going, right? And I thought, you and I would go, I'd meet you there, the whole deal. It never happened. So I don't always, I'm with you, man. Whatever it is, you always think, well, yeah, I'd like to go, but I don't need to go this time. I'll go the next time. And the next time becomes too late for anything. Even for me, it's the movies. Right? I really want to see that in the theaters. I'll go next week. Well, by next week, there's 2 more movies that you want to see in the theaters, and then you don't see any of them. So, yeah, go.
I'll say this. I saw Tom Brady play at San Diego. I was hosting a sports trip, and I'll never forget. It wasn't about Brady, who, by the way, was the biggest guy on the field. You've seen how big he is, or maybe he's massive, tallest guy on the field. But we did the tailgating at Qualcomm Park in San Diego. And Robert Kraft was ripping around on a golf cart, being driven, of course, but in his Navy suit, red tie, shaking hands with the fans, throwing out footballs. I'm like, this is the NFL. Robert Kraft is a man of the people. Didn't come away thinking of Tom Brady playing at the Chargers that day. What's in my mind is Robert Kraft throwing out footballs, the owner, and driving around on a golf cart. That is fan engagement. Okay, we'll get to your regrets and more. We got some good ones coming in. We'll be right back here live on Game Plus Television, streaming and found on all major podcast platforms.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Nazareth's Canadian Farewell Tour is coming to Moose Jaw. Live at Temple Garden Center, October 17th. With special guest, Lee Aaron. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or sasktix.ca.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are back live. And we cracked the lid on a discussion that I did not expect to crack the lid on. It's a good one. I was just saying I never did get to an Expos game in Montreal. I could have gone, and I regret that I didn't go. The people are writing in. Ken in Mississauga writes in. He might be close to you, Moose. He says, I regret never going to the old Chicago Stadium to see a Leafs game. Scott in Vancouver says, I could have been in the stands at Gretzky's last game in Canada, but I had an exam the next day. That was in Ottawa, right, everybody? Brent from Wellington, Florida writes in. He says, YOLO, fellas, just do it. Oh, that's when I realized. I'm like, that was 20 years ago. I'm like, if I want to go, I'm going. And Darren said he never got to see Tom Brady live. Maybe, Moose, you'll get to see him at an NFL game if you go to a Raiders game, which we're going to get to the NFL here right away. Have you seen him on the field at Raiders workouts, by the way, in Raiders gear? Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I have. I've seen those photos. It does look pretty cool. And you know what? It's got me wondering, like, what the future is for Tom. It seems like he's going back into the booth, and he's pretty happy about that, so that's good. But, yeah, he does look cool in the black and silver.
Yeah, he would look cool in orange and purple, which is Clemson colors, but you know what I mean. He would look cool in anything. So for those that just joined us, Allie from Texarkana and so forth, we're saying, what's your sports regrets? You could have gone and you didn't go, or you missed. Rich in Edmonton says a game at the Montreal Forum, the great cathedral of hockey. I got to stop this because it's like, all those rinks closed right around the time I started going to NHL games en masse, right, for NHL drafts or covering them. I never got to the Boston Garden, Chicago Stadium, Montreal Forum. The one thing is, you can go to the Forum in Montreal. It's a movie theater now, and I've been there multiple times. Didn't you and I? You and I went to the site. Did we go in? I can't remember because I've been there a few times with you.
Oh, yeah, we did. I just can't remember. We didn't go to a movie, I don't think. But I would totally go to a movie.
No, we didn't.
To the Montreal Forum a few times. I've been into Maple Leaf Gardens downtown. It's a grocery store, which is really cool. And if you go into the grocery store, it's a Loblaws, I think. You can go on a little scavenger hunt and find center ice. They got it painted on the floor, and there's a little plaque that says this is where center ice was in the rink, which is really cool. I will say Maple Leaf Gardens is one that I regret too. As a kid, I think it was 1999, and I can remember Coach's Corner in Hockey Night in Canada for the final time from Maple Leaf Gardens. Here's Ron McLean and Don Cherry. I can hear it. Super cool. And it was right after the Saturday night theme, all the big guns gonna, that was the
gonna shoot out the lake. The place is gonna be rocking because it's Saturday night. Yeah, we all know.
That was the best. That was the best. As a kid, I sat there and said, I'm gonna go to the last game at Maple Leaf Gardens. I'm gonna go. I gotta go to one game at Maple Leaf Gardens. I loved that team as a kid. But you know what I didn't do? I didn't tell anybody I wanted to go to the game. I didn't tell mom and dad that I want to go to the last game at Maple Leaf Gardens. Never told anybody. What did I think? It was just going to fall out of the sky and 2 tickets were going to, come into the stocking at Christmas time. So I never went. That's a regret.
Yeah, I got to see Maple Leaf Gardens. We were on our way to Buffalo for the NHL draft in 98 or 99, and we stopped. We went into downtown Toronto to see the rink, and I'm so glad that we did. Now, I'm trying to remember, I believe Air Canada Center was open by then. Doesn't matter. But I said we're set a record here. Off track in record time. Like 7 minutes into the program, we completely got into a topic that I had not planned on talking about. Carlos in Indianapolis writes in and says, maybe some Super Bowl events / festivities the year it was here. My team wasn't playing, so I didn't go to anything. But even then, I don't really have a major regret over it. Well, then I guess you don't. But Moose and I got to go to a Super Bowl in L.A., and then I went to another one in Vegas. That's another one. That's what I'm saying. I'm not waiting anymore. And so speaking of that, I know there's a lot of CFL fans have showed up to talk today, but we got a lot of time to get to it. I'm going to jump to the NFL. The Cleveland Browns crowded quarterback competition will add one more due to injuries. The Browns are signing Tyler Snoop Huntley. He's the 6th quarterback now on the Browns roster. Joe Flacco is number 1 on the depth chart to start September 7th against the Bengals, but he's got competition from Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Shadur Sanders. Deshaun Watson, of course, going to miss the whole season due to 2 Achilles injuries. But the Browns are lacking healthy quarterbacks at the moment. Pickett and Gabriel are dealing with hamstring injuries, while Sanders sat out the August 2nd practice due to a sore arm. So before you delve into that, that's our poll question today. And Moose came up with it. It was a Moose question. John Frenzy would call it an MQ, a Moose question for EMJ Marketing. What is the biggest story in NFL training camps? Is it Micah Parsons in Dallas demanding a trade, Browns quarterback injuries, Aaron Rodgers and the whole Pittsburgh thing, or other? What are you voting, Moose? It's your question.
Yeah, I'm voting Micah Parsons in Dallas today, but this feels like a moving target on the daily. I don't know if it's moving on the hourly, but it's moving on the daily. But Micah Parsons in Dallas, because it's Parsons, it's Jerry Jones, it's one of the best players in the NFL, one of the most polarizing people in sports in Jerry Jones. And now you got this standoff where Micah Parsons is saying, I'm done now. I wanted to stay. Now I want out. And as we all know, once you want out, it's hard to want back, right? Once I want out, it's hard to want back in and to come back and undo that. And Jerry's like, we're not trading him, so don't panic. Well, I don't know this is going to end well.
No, and I think that was Saturday, or was it Friday night? These long weekends really screw me up, which incidentally, I'm like the only guy in the world that doesn't like long weekends, and the reason is because after 3 days, I don't really want to go back to work anymore. 2 days is fine. 3, you have the tendency to mentally check out. Now, I was calling baseball, which is a good thing to keep my mind occupied. But anyways, the Micah Parsons story crossed my phone, and I just to go on a little bit of a rant here, or it is the Rod Pedersen show, so y'all know I'm a Cowboys fan. And if you read the message from Micah Parsons, I don't need to read it specifically, but I'll paraphrase, basically saying what? Backdoor dirty dealings. Because of that, I'm out. And it's like the Cowboys fans are brainwashed. I've mentioned this. I know people don't like to hear it, but it's true. Rider fans are brainwashed. They are. I don't know if Leaf fans are or not. You'd have to help me out with that. But sort of like you'll believe everything that you're told. And you don't see it until you get outside. Because there's Jerry saying it's not a big deal. Right? No, it's a really big deal. He's the best defensive player on the Cowboys. He might be the best player on the Cowboys, and he wants out because of you, Jerry. And the teams that do this shady backdoor business, I've seen it so often. And the teams that do it don't ever win. Okay? It doesn't pay. So that's why my heart sunk a little bit, but I wasn't surprised. And then the Cowboys fans, here's the thing. It's like Branch Davidians. What was David Koresh? He tells us it'll be okay, so it'll be okay. No, it's not going to be. It's not going to be okay. All right. So how do you see it as a non-Cowboys fan? Who do you believe in this?
Yeah, it's really tough, but I try to see the whole thing in a weird way. I believe in both, but Jerry doesn't have to move him. So if he says we're not trading him, I get it. He's going to be stubborn and not trade him.
Oh, yeah.
But I believe Micah Parsons in all this, because the player, whether you want him not wanting to be part of the Cowboys anymore. And I think he said in that thing, he grew up a Cowboys fan.
Yep.
Playing for the team he grew up cheering for. That's what you want. And you get a guy that can buy in for his entire career. He's a perennial Pro Bowler, one of the best defensive players in the game, a disruptor from the edge. I mean, these guys aren't easy to find. And because, you dick him around on the contract and go behind his back and different things, it's bad. And so if the player doesn't want to be there, it's bad. Yeah, I know, right?
I love that you went there. For lack of a better term, Jerry Jones is dicking around Micah Parsons. I love it. Good for you, Moose. Brent in Wellington, Florida says it doesn't matter what happens in Dallas. As long as Jerry is running it, they won't win. That's exactly it. And that's why I was like, on to baseball, strike two. I'm not surprised by any of the drama. And I will bring it home when we talk about what do I relate it to? We're on the air on television. On the air in Canada on television. 20 seasons here as the voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I've seen how's the good way to run a team and a bad way to run a team. And, back in the Roy Shivers, Danny Barrett era, I was intimately involved because Henry Burris was like my best friend, and they were dicking him around, and that pair never did go on to win a Grey Cup in Saskatchewan. Did in Calgary. But the point is, when you do, like Brent said, Panthers season ticket holder, the Panthers are up front with everybody. They get the deals done ahead of time. They treat everybody well. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's why in Dallas, with what they're doing, this is why they're doomed, and it will not change as long as Jerry is running things. Shai writes in and he says the Cowboys are still not as good as the Eagles. No, we know that. Thanks, Tips. Breaking news. The Eagles won the Super Bowl last year and the Cowboys missed the playoffs. But thanks for playing. I'm going to move on because it's going to upset me. I'm already upset. Wayne in BC writes in. He says, thank God I'm not a Cowboys fan. I'd be pulling what hair I have left out. That's the other thing. I'm not giving up on the Dallas Cowboys, but in Miami, where I lived for 9 months or close to it, the Dolphins fans are saying, come cheer for us, because we have just as much disappointment, but we don't have the expectations you guys do with the Cowboys. We just don't expect to be good, and when we're not hurt. But I'm like, I just can't see that I would ever do that. Kirk in Toronto writes in on the Western Dodge text line. Kirk in Toronto, he says, I used to sit in the greens and the blues, which were way up behind the net at Maple Leaf Gardens for $12 back in the mid-'70s. Took the streetcar from Mimico, the good old days. I'll say this, Darren. We got a few minutes left here, but not enough time to get into the CFL, so I'll save that for the next segment. At the hockey banquet I was at Tuesday night, and I was with NHL people. You and I have barely talked since. NHL people, WHL people, all the 500 hockey people in the room. And one of the big topics was ticket prices. And these are the scouts. And they were like, how high? What's the breaking point on ticket prices? Here's Kirk in Toronto saying what he paid back in the day for Leafs tickets. Sure, but that was like 100 years ago. And what we all what we came around to, Darren, is the games are all still sold out in Canada and Florida too for Brent, and he keeps paying it. What I did tell the hockey guys, Darren, is that the Super Bowl did not sell out this year. There was 3,500 tickets left unsold for the Super Bowl, and that hadn't happened in 20 years. So what do you think the breaking point is for the NHL?
Yeah, that's the story. If your building is sold out, and for sure, if there's a waiting list, you can be certain your tickets are going up. Prices are going to keep rising until it's not sold out. So somewhere go to the CFL, Winnipeg, probably expecting tickets to stay the same or keep going up. But in Saskatchewan, if you're not selling out that stadium anymore, I expect ticket prices to come down, or naturally they should come down until you start seeing the attendance rise, and then prices can go back up. So you have to play that game a little bit. As long as they're selling out, tickets are going to keep climbing.
Or in Canada, you don't need to win You don't. And the rink will still be full, and that's the difference. But you're right, it's just business. The gas prices jumped by a dime a liter this weekend. I'm like, what the hell? I was talking to my friends. Why did it jump so much? And they said, my buddy said, long weekend, August long weekend. I'm like, I never even thought about it. I will mention this only because we only have 1 minute and 45 seconds left in this segment. But Brent in Wellington, Florida writes, and he says, let's talk hockey. Any surprises on the invites to the Olympic team camp? I'm not prepared to go down that. I didn't even look at the invites. I did not, because no. So, no, we're going to talk CFL in the next segment. We're going to talk about Matthew Schaefer, the number 1 overall pick, signing with the Islanders. But I did not look at the Olympic camp invites. I'm sorry. You caught me with my pants down. It's August long weekend. So, no. How about you?
I haven't looked at it like too deep, but I will. But there is one omission, and I think Logan Thompson was left off the list. The goaltender Logan Thompson. I don't think he was on the invite list. That seems like a miss to me because was
Bedard.
Really
was Bedard?
Bedard was. Yeah, Bedard was.
He was on it? Okay.
Yeah.
The one thing the hockey guys said last week in Okotoks was that Bedard's getting a bad rap in Chicago. We can talk about that a little later on, but I prepped Moose to get ready for some CFL talk, and we'll do that next here in the dog days of summer. We are live on the Game Plus television network. We are streaming and, of course, found on major podcast platforms.
Country's hottest party is coming. James Barker Band, Bud Light Buckle Up Tour 2025. Live across Canada with special guests Ryan and Rory. November 20th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at zasktix.ca. James Barker Band Live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, we're back and we're live. It's all good, my friend. It's all good. Jersey Jim Biringer coming up from NHL Full Press next hour. We'll be talking about the three tri-state NHL teams, the Islanders, Devils, and Rangers, but also NFL. I think he's dying to talk about the Giants and the Jets. And that reminds me, our poll question today is, what is the biggest story in NFL training camps? And the voters have spoken, or at least so far, because it's a 24-hour poll. They are saying that it's Micah Parsons demanding a trade out of Dallas. I'm already tired of hearing about it, and it just started on the weekend. Okay, moves to the Canadian Football League because you were prepped up and ready to go. I said, we're obviously going to talk about this. For the games last week, I would suggest, well, it wasn't an upset. You and I both correctly picked Ottawa beating Calgary 31-11. We both had that. Ottawa Red Blacks beating Calgary without their starting quarterback, Vernon Adams Jr., 31-11. Friday, I was right. You weren't. The picks that we do for Pump Jack's Cathedral and Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon, 2 bars, 1 name, Pump Jack's. We're a sports bar, as cool Kevin Smith says. I had the Winnipeg to win, and they did. Moose had the Argos to win, and they didn't. Bombers 40, Toronto 31. Then a doubleheader on Saturday. I watched the afternoon game and enjoyed it. Hamilton at Edmonton. Tiger Cats won 28-24. Looked like a good vibe in the stadium, but the Elks were like Justin Trudeau back in the day, just not ready. As was the slogan. Don't get mad at me for bringing politics into this. And then the Roughriders in the game of the week. It wasn't even a game. They motorboated Montreal 34-6. And I was calling baseball that night. It was over by half times. I wasn't missing anything. They destroyed Montreal. What are your week 9 thoughts coming out, Moose?
Yeah, Hamilton just keeps finding ways to win. And, finding a way late. Bo is, the Bo of old. I don't think there's any questions about Bo and what he's doing in Hamilton, which has been awesome. Really fun to watch that. And it sets up another really good week. Like, there's going to be good games across the board. So, fun weekend. There's a real battle going on for, should Hamilton be in that conversation with Saskatchewan maybe as the best team in the Canadian Football League? They've kind of separated themselves a little bit, those two teams. And, the Riders continue to find ways to win. And it seems a lot different this week than after the win against Edmonton, doesn't it? Where everybody was saying, oh, but we didn't win by enough. Oh, but we let them in the game. Oh, but they're a good football team. And they proved it again on the weekend.
Well, dude, you're from Saskatchewan, as am I, as is Brent from Wellington, Florida, ironically. So we all know how it works here. And I was sitting with 5 other guys at the lake yesterday, and I said that off the top of the show. We were talking NHL, a lot of it, because they had a very strong hockey connection. They're big basketball guys, so we talked a lot of NBA, a little NFL, but no CFL at all. And that's concerning in this province. But on the flip side, there's nothing to bitch about. You mentioned they beat Edmonton here, and everybody's like, they didn't win by enough. It was 21-18. Well, they destroyed Montreal by double digits. So you can't complain about that. There's nothing to complain about. So in Saskatchewan, what else is there to talk about? But on the drive on the way home, I asked I was driving, and I asked 2 of the guys, can you name the new commissioner of the CFL? The guy in the back seat, Markey, he couldn't. And the guy, Bob, Bob, he was beside me. He's like, I thought Ambrosi was still No, he's not. That's a problem. But whatever. So you mentioned who's the best team in the CFL, Sask or Hamilton. The 2 will meet a week from Saturday because Saskatchewan has a bye this week. They'll meet at Mosaic Stadium a week from Saturday. It'll be for summer CFL supremacy. And I'm not done yet on the CFL vibe, but hang on. Laverne and Swift Current writes in, what did I tell you on the phone this morning, Darren? When we talk NFL, the comments go nuclear. Not in a bad way, but just way more. Laverne and Swift Current writes in, and he says the Cleveland Browns have had 40 starting quarterbacks since rejoining the NFL in 1999, the most in the NFL. He's talking about since they moved. I know what you're saying. Joe Flacco will probably start week 1 in Cleveland. Yeah, that is September the 7th. Obviously, Laverne, you're using ChatGPT or Google who has had the least starting quarterbacks. I'd love to know. My guess would be Green Bay since 99. Think about that. Favre, Rodgers, Jordan Love. 3 versus 40. Who would have less than that? And it's not always. I mean, but you know what I'm saying. It's an interesting discussion.
Yeah, it really is. I would go, the Packers. Really, who else, right? I mean, and I'm not talking about a game here and there. The Colts haven't had too many starting quarterbacks because they went from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck. And now Anthony Richardson. I think there was a couple in between there for the Colts. Obviously, the Patriots had Tom Brady forever, but they've been going through guys now. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of quarterbacks in Cleveland. And I know the songs and the things, like the guy's got the jersey with all the quarterbacks, Stallone and all the guys, Tim Couch down the back. And, is it Billy Joel, We Didn't Start the Fire? Is that the song? And they go through every quarterback. Tim Couch, Jake Delhomme, and they go through every quarterback for the whole song. It's incredible. Poor Browns fans.
Moose, you really brought your A game today. I appreciate it. You got us singing and dancing here. Bill, Bill in the Queen City writes in. He says Pittsburgh. Of course, this is since 99, everybody. Since 99. So you got your Roethlisberger. And it's been a rotating stable since then, right? Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. Shoot, there's 3 right there. Hey, Laverne and Swift Current, can you ask us or find out for us who's had the least starting quarterbacks? Surrey. Scott in Vancouver writes in. He says, to me, the CFL is basically what the AHL is to the NHL. Just a smidgen underneath in terms of talent. No, you would be right. I just wish there were more people talking about it. BW, regarding that matchup coming back 2 Saturdays from now, he says, could we see a rematch of the Grey Cup from 1989? Saskatchewan versus Hamilton. Also 2013 and also 1972. Trust me, I'm all over those Sask-Hamilton Grey Cup matchups. I mean, here's the one thing, Darren. When these teams, whether it be hockey, football, when they meet in the regular year, and we talk about, is this a championship preview? It very rarely ends up being. Have you noticed that? I don't think we should be billing it as that if you want your teams in the Grey Cup, is what I'm saying.
I know, and it typically lets you down when you do it that way. But it's great for the pregame show. It makes the pregame shows and the talk shows all week really exciting. Makes those really great. Those don't let you down. But the game typically doesn't hold up to the hype that we deliver on these. Is this a championship preview? But it might be. They're 2 really good football teams. And right now, I don't know that they're being pushed by the next tier all that much. I really don't.
Laverne and Swift Current, thank you for answering, says it's looking like Green Bay. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and as I say now, Jordan Love. But I was watching the NFL Network the other day. For what I have been home, the television I've watched is NFL Network because I do love the coverage from the sidelines where they sit in every locale and talk about the teams, and they bring on the players and the coaches, mostly the players, and they had Jordan Love on there. And I think they said that this is is it year 4 of him starting, year 6 in the league? And it's like how fast that went. Nobody could believe it. But so it is Green Bay. By the way, I watched 2 funny movies on Saturday. I watched Happy Gilmore. It had a real belly laugh over that. And then I went to not Leslie Nielsen, The Naked Gun with Liam Neeson as Lieutenant Frank Drebin. Darren, if you have any time, I know you don't have a lot, you might want to go watch The Naked Gun. Oh, my God.
It's good.
I went in there somewhat skeptical because I'm like, I think of Liam Neeson as the guy, foiling bank robbers and stopping kidnappers. No, he's playing a goof. And absolutely, he plays Frank Drebin and acts like a complete idiot. I would say go. Are there any movies that are grabbing you in theaters? You probably haven't even looked.
I've seen a few. I've seen Jurassic Park, the F1 movie, outstanding, Superman, that are all good summer movies. Summer is a great season for movies. Naked Gun's on my list, though, for sure. Want to see that one. And there's a few more coming out later this summer. So it's a good summer for movies.
Pamela Anderson is in it at age 58.
Another
I'll
dating.
talk about it. Pardon me?
Pam Anderson and Liam Neeson apparently are dating now after the movie.
That doesn't surprise me. Brent in Wellington, Florida says, Chargers, fellas. Are you guessing or did you go to ChatGPT, Brent? Because I feel like he went to the big board. Bye, Moose. See everybody after this break.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We do have a sports update in the queue, on deck. Do you know how many baseball phrases we use in everyday? It's he struck out. He struck out at the bar last night. We use baseball more than you'd think. This coming from a now baseball announcer. I told you we would have fun today. I wanted to have fun today, and I'm having fun today, and really, that's what counts. Talking about going to the Naked Gun movie on Sunday night, and Joe was busy, my business manager, so I went on my own, and I loved it. The hot dog was nothing to write home about. Probably won't do that again. But the popcorn was amazing. And I had a choice of movies. Like Allie writes in from Texarkana. She says, the new Superman is fantastic. I thought about that. But John Ohm in Winnipeg says, I hear Naked Gun is a total flop. Oh. It broke. So is my gong. Don't go by the reviews. Have we not learned anything? Just because the reviewer likes it doesn't mean you will, or just because the reviewer doesn't like it doesn't mean you won't. More than anything, I went, and because I wanted to see if Liam Neeson could pull off, and I don't want to repeat some of the things that he said that had me laughing so hard. And I couldn't believe that he said, Liam Neeson, I couldn't believe that he said it. Pam Anderson was pretty damn funny too. And Priscilla Presley was in this version. So I would say go. That's just me. I'm saying 2 thumbs up from the Monday morning goalie. Go. And BW says the NFL sells NFL Network and Red Zone for $10 million to ESPN. It just needs to be approved by Trump. It's interesting, by the way. I never really watched Red Zone. You have to pay extra for it, right? That is another thing. Similarly to don't go buy a review of the movie, go on your own, versus Red Zone. We all watch sports our own way. You know, for me, being a Dallas Cowboys fan, I've never had to buy Sunday ticket because the Cowboys are always playing in prime time. Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night. I don't need to buy an extra package to watch the Cowboys. And that's really all. Or the Alabama Crimson Tide. That is my college team. They're always playing on Saturday on cable television. I've never even watched Red Zone, but it's obviously worth a lot if it's going for $10 billion to ESPN. And one more, somebody asked Allie if she watches CFL football, and she says, I like it. I don't watch it as religiously as I do hockey. And I thought, Allie, you would get a bang out of this. Some of the guys that I was with on the weekend, one of them was an ordained minister, and he just did a wedding in Minnesota a couple of weekends ago, and Jake Ottinger and Tyler Seguin were in the bridal party. Well, for sure, Ottinger. And I was with this ordained minister. He's a friend of mine. His name is Guy. And he said, this Ottinger is just the nicest young man. It was the guy that he was around the most. And the guy getting married was a former Dallas star. And he was saying, what a bunch of great guys they are. And I said, of course, they're hockey players. Squirrel moment. We were talking. I went to the big board, ChatGPT, to see who's had the fewest amount of starting quarterbacks since 1999. I don't know where you went, Laverne and Swift Current, but from ChatGPT, this is what it spit out. According to historical analysis covering the period from 99 through 2013 and extended by commentary through 2024, the NFL franchises with the fewest different starting quarterbacks since 1999 have been the Patriots, Colts, Giants, and Packers. Each of these teams has had no more than 5 players start at quarterback over that stretch. And that's the thing that annoys me about ChatGPT. While it can be very specific about some things, it can be really general about others, like this. He says the Giants had exactly 5 different starters: Kerry Collins, Kurt Warner, Eli Manning, etc. No, I don't want etc. I want names. So ChatGPT does not give us a definitive who's had the fewest starter. I'm still thinking that it's Green Bay. Ba-ba-ba-bum-bum. Tony from Concord, Alberta writes in. He says, I watched Airplane on the weekend. Also, a classic. Was it on cable? I watched Happy Gilmore 2 on Netflix, and it's really funny. You're in my world now. So good. Ba-ba-ba-bum-bum. The sports update I told you about. The Toronto Blue Jays, fresh off crushing Colorado 15-1 in a 25-hit barrage last night, look to keep rolling tonight in Game 2 of their 3-game series against the Rockies. Jose Barrios gets the start for the AL East leading Jays, while the cellar-dwelling Rockies send right-hander Anthony Molina to the mound. Watching that game last night wasn't even fun. I mean, yeah, fun in that your team's winning, but the errors all over the field. Now I'm watching baseball differently now, like calling Canadian collegiate baseball for the summer here. You know that I do the high school baseball in Florida in the spring. High school baseball, they don't even put the errors up on the scoreboard in the high school league because they don't want to make anybody look bad. And I don't even necessarily think that's a bad thing. They keep track of them, and they put them in the online scoring, but they don't put it up on the scoreboard. It's a newfangled way of doing things. Super Bowl champion Saquon Barkley of the Philadelphia Eagles has declined an invitation to join U.S. President Donald Trump's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition, citing a busy schedule. The council was revived by executive order, which also reinstates the presidential fitness test for American children. The fitness test had been phased out during the Obama administration. Do you remember we had that as kids? Corey, do you remember that? Where we had wasn't it participation? I hated that day. I hated that day. I think a lot of us hated that day. Trump's bringing it back. I did see Matthew Tkachuk and Wayne Gretzky are on that council. That's about as far as I want to go down this road. The San Francisco 49ers have brought back Robert Saleh as defensive coordinator to revive their struggling defense. The team hopes he can recreate the success of 2019 when the defense helped them reach the Super Bowl. Saleh returns after being fired as head coach of the New York Jets. The 49ers aren't alone in making coaching changes. Detroit, Philadelphia, and Tampa Bay have also replaced coordinators because of promotions or departures. Other teams such as Houston, Cincinnati, and Seattle have made changes to spark improvement. These moves could significantly impact which teams succeed in the upcoming season. The sports headlines are for Cool Bet Canada. Get a welcome bonus up to $200 with a promo code RP200 at coolbet.com. And so how that works, I'll say it again. Go to coolbet.com. There is a link at rodpeterson.com right now. Click on the welcome bonus. And if you deposit $5, they'll match it. $10, $100, up to $200. If you deposit that, Cool Bet will match it. But you got to use the promo code RP200. There are a few of us across this wonderful country that are influencers for Cool Bet. Saskatchewan kicker Brett Lather is one. Andrew Hustler Patterson from Winnipeg Sports Talk is another. And there are a few others out in Eastern Canada. BW writes in and says, so is Triple H on the council. That is wrestling talk for those who celebrate, for those that observe. Allie says, I like Happy Gilmore too. A lot of people didn't. Adam is just awesome. Adam Sandler. I just wanted a movie that I've never really wanted a movie that I need to think too much, like never. And I was pretty sure that Happy Gilmore 2 would not be that. Yeah, well, producer Corey saying he has not seen Adam's Happy Gilmore 2 yet. It's on Netflix. Don't we all have Netflix? So if you have Netflix, it's free there. And that's, oh gosh, I feel like we'll get to crack the lid on a lot of stories coming back in hour two. Being around a lot of hockey people over the last week, they've been talking about how it's changed the junior league since I've been out of it for the past number of years. The entertainment business has changed. That's what got me thinking about wanting to go to the movies, because I watched Happy Gilmore 2, and I'm like, I watched half of it, and then came back and watched the rest of it. You can't do that at the movies. And I thought, I think I want to go to the movies. I think I want to get the big pop. I think I want to try a hot dog. I want to try my luck with a hot dog. I want to have my choice of selection from the top two rows of candies, you know. Reese peanut butter cup or nibs. It's always dicey. It's always a coin toss. You don't get that at home. The cost was somewhat out of control. I'm not going to say it's not, but you know what? I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm giving 2 thumbs up to The Naked Gun, starring Pam Anderson and Liam Neeson. That's what we've established in hour one. But if you want to talk about how hockey's changed and all the rest. We can certainly do that coming back in hour 2 and a variety of other things. 902-518-3033. Let's get the Western Dodge text line fired up. Don't just shop anywhere. Shop smart at Western Dodge. Proudly serving Moose Jaw and beyond. And we do have some great text messages coming in here from the viewers. Laverne says, I actually got that first stat regarding the Browns quarterbacks from the NFL Network, but I did find out about the Packers from ChatGPT because you asked. Yeah, most starting quarterbacks since 99, the Cleveland Browns with 40, which wouldn't seem like a lot, but then you look at Green Bay and it's legit like 3. Favre, Rodgers, and Jordan Love. So we cracked it. And your biggest sports regret. That's the other one. I regretted never going to an Expos game in Montreal. I could have. What's your biggest sports regret that you could have done and you didn't, and yet you're still kicking yourself to this day? Hour 2 coming up right after this.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Spirito Italian. Come in. Enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Spirito Italian. Come in. Enjoy.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, here we go. Hour 2. Hey, Aaron. Have a good one, buddy. We're at the Golden Ticket Sports Center where it's raining out of doors. It's a good day to have a good day. That's one thing I'm going to tell you. And another is let's have some fun for the next hour. That's what we do here, talking sports on the Game Plus television network. We are live. We're live. 902-518-3033 is the text line, brought to you by Western Dodge. New or used, Western Dodge has your next vehicle ready to roll. Visit the dealership or browse 24/7 at westerndodge.ca. Looks like this Friday we'll be doing another live show. Just so you know, producer Corey, Jim Biringer will be with us live at Western Dodge here in Moose Jaw. So that's exciting. We're looking forward to that. We're going to get to a re-up of the quick six show topics in a second. I was mentioning near the end of hour one, I did a 2-movie Sunday, a doubleheader, Netflix, Happy Gilmore 2 in the afternoon, and then I went to Galaxy Cinemas Sunday night, and I watched The Naked Gun starring Liam Neeson and Pam Anderson, and I went through my menu of what I had, and Shai writes in from Saskatchewan. He says, Rod, are you considering health issues, eating a hot dog at the movies? I just thought I'd try. One thing about movie hot dogs, they're hit and miss. They're hit and miss. This was somewhere in between. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. The movie was far better. And Wayne in BC writes in, he says, I don't know if I can see Liam Neeson as a funny man, but Rod, I'm willing to check it out. Advertising works, right? Here we are. I wanted to go to see if Liam Neeson could actually be funny because I think he's as cool as hell. You know, again, thwarting train hijackings and solving bank robberies and foiling kidnappings. That's what I think of Liam Neeson. I don't think him as a goofy Los Angeles detective, police department. That's what he was. He was very funny. And Pam Anderson was very good too. The lines in the movie, I just couldn't believe some of the things that he said. So here we are. Was talking about this, just morphed off topic, but I said, what's your biggest sports regret? And the reason it came up was we had a viewer say they took the metro train to Percival Molson Stadium in Montreal to watch the Saskatchewan-Montreal game Saturday night. It got me thinking about the Montreal Metro and the years that I went to Montreal with the Roughriders and the Expos were there. It was like for 5 years I could have gone. The Expos were in town. Randy Johnson, I distinctly remember. I think maybe even Pedro Martinez was on the Expos, and I didn't go because I couldn't get anybody to go with me. And in retrospect, I should have gone on my own. It still ticks me off. Tony from Cochrane says, seeing the Blackhawks in the old Chicago stadium with a pipe organ and actually visiting any of the original 6 stadiums. I have a buddy with seats out of the Montreal Forum in his living room. Yeah, those old original 6 arenas I would have liked to have seen. Brent, by the way, regarding the movie, he says, who was brave enough to play O.J. Simpson? You'd have to go to the movie. I don't want to be a spoiler, but there was a O.J. moment, which even that shocked the hell out of me. Terry the lawyer writes in from Calgary, and hey, Terry, where you been, brah? He says, I had a chance to travel to Czechia a few years ago to watch the World Juniors with friends. Took a pass, and Canada won gold. Major mistake. I can see that, but I have no interest in going to Czechia. I hear it's beautiful, though. Let me get to the quick 6 show topics. I get it. Thank you, Jeremy in Winnipeg, for getting us back on track. Number 1 is the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays routed the Rockies 15-1 last night. The Blue Jays are a wagon. We all know that. They're going to go after the second win tonight. I watched the middle innings of that game last night, and I'm like, this isn't even a contest. I can't believe how bad the Rockies are. If the Jays don't sweep this, we got problems. And just on the topic of baseball, our WCBL playoffs, the reason I came up here this summer to Canada, begin on Wednesday. Our Moose Jaw Miller Express at the Saskatoon Berries, Wednesday night, Game 1. Back here at Roswells Park Thursday night for Game 2. We'll see you here. Regina plays Medicine Hat in the other East Division. Out in the West, I wrote it down. Where the hell is it? In the West, Okotoks plays Brooks. Sylvan Lake plays Lethbridge. To our Alberta viewers, you're welcome. Point 2 was CFL Week 9. Moose and I got into that. And I was 4 for 4 in picks. Moose was 3-1. We both had Ottawa beating Calgary, which they did 31-11 on Thursday. Friday night, Winnipeg dumped Toronto 40-30. I had the Bombers. Moose had the Argos. We both had Hamilton winning at Edmonton. That was not, but it was a great game, actually, 28-24. Mine Cody. Just couldn't get the Elks to win, but they're getting there. Lost by 4 to the Ticats, who have won 6 in a row now. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders in the most lopsided game of the week. Motorboated Montreal 34-6, and the Riders are 7-1, and there's literally nothing to complain about in Saskatchewan with the football team, so you're not hearing much about them right now. That's just a fact, Jack. And as you know, we talk more CFL as the week goes along, so I'm not going to belabor it here. Jersey Jim coming up in the next segment, by the way. We're going to be talking NFL with him and NHL with Jersey Jim from NHL Full Press. This week, Thursday, BC at Hamilton, Friday, Edmonton and Montreal, Saturday, Ottawa at Toronto, doubleheader, and Winnipeg at Calgary in a rematch of the 2001 Grey Cup. But in 2 weeks' time, here in the football capital, that is Saskatchewan, it'll be the Rough Riders and the Tiger Cats. And they're already calling it a Grey Cup preview. And I'm like, guys, I wouldn't be, like, if I was still a voice of a team, yeah, I would be hyping it up as that. But now that I'm not, and I just look at it unbiased, I'm like, I don't think you would want to promote it as that, because when we say these Super Bowl previews, Grey Cup previews, that very rarely ends up being that. How about we just call it the battle of the two best teams in the CFL? Is that not enough? That's just me talking out loud. And I have the show. NFL, the Cleveland Browns crowded quarterback competition will add one more due to injuries. The Browns signing Snoop Huntley Monday night. He's the 6th quarterback on the roster. Joe Flacco, as they expect, will start September 7th against the Bengals. But Deshaun Watson out for the season with 2 Achilles injuries. Shadur Sanders just not ready. And Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel are hurt, so they're bringing in Snoop Huntley. And that brought about our poll question today. What is the biggest story in the NFL preseason? And your options for EMJ Marketing, which, by the way, from impactful speakers to strategic marketing, EMJ Marketing is your complete solution. Visit them at emjmarketing.com. Is it Micah Parsons demanding a trade out of Dallas because of dirty dealings and contract negotiations by the GM, Jerry Jones? Is it Cleveland Browns quarterbacks? Is it Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh, just the whole story of it? Or is it something else we haven't thought of? Other. And we usually nail it in our suggestions, our options. Leading the poll is the Cowboys and Micah Parsons. As a Cowboys fan, I follow him on social media anyways, and I will be perfectly honest with you. If I was a pro athlete, I wouldn't even talk to the media. Tiger Woods started this. The only time Tiger spoke was through his Twitter. That's what I would do. There's no twisting the words or the intention. Micah Parsons wrote this long long monologue as to why he wanted out of Dallas. And I'm just sitting there going, I'm not surprised that Jerry would try and backdoor him in contract talks, talk him down. He's the best player on defense for the Cowboys, maybe the best player on the team. CeeDee Lamb being the other, but he's on offense. And who didn't see it going this way? It's depressing being a Cowboy fan. Yet, it's the biggest story of the training camps across the NFL. And trying to follow the NFL training camps is like trying to take a sip from a garden hose. Point 4, I had written in all caps, tennis, and then I didn't even ask Moose about it. I should have. Moose went to the Toronto event on Sunday. He was very excited about that. But I'm not. I'm pretty sure you're not either. The lone hockey note that I had was point 5. The New York Islanders have signed number 1 draft pick Matthew Schaefer to a 3-year entry-level deal. The team announced the deal Monday, right around the time the young D-man from Hamilton, Ontario, threw out the first pitch before the Mets' home game against the Cleveland Guardians. Signing him to a contract doesn't necessarily mean Schaefer is guaranteed to play this season in the NHL. The Islanders could decide to send him back to Erie of the OHL. And I meant to ask Moose that for our Ontario viewers, and we have a lot that are following this and know it. What are the chances that Matthew Schaefer stays with the Islanders. I would be, I don't, he's not Bedard. So Jeremy writes in, where the heck is he? Jeremy from Winnipeg, big NFL fan, writes in. He says, Micah Parsons going nowhere either. Get a deal done. Play for his final year at $24 million, or they franchise tag him twice. He doesn't have the leverage in this situation. We all know that. And would you want to try to play hardball with Jerry Jones? I wouldn't. But I don't know. Sometimes in these relationships with teams, things get said, things get done that there is no coming back from. You have to kind of have a thick skin in this. And I think it comes with my age. Like, Micah Parsons is in his mid-20s, right? So when he hears things that Jerry Jones will be saying about him to his agent, it's going to hurt him. And I've always wondered, I used to always wonder, how do you go to salary arbitration like, the teams and players do, and they present their case to the arbitrator, and the team says all these horrible things about you? How do you come back from that? Unless you got a really good agent saying it's not personal. That's all they're doing. In Dallas, you wonder if it's personal. Jeremy writes in and says, the others got deals, but is Micah really better than Hutchinson, Watt, Crosby, and Garrett? Is he worth being paid over them? Well, they all got deals. And I can't remember who now is the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. Is it TJ Watt? They keep jumping over each other. Myles Garrett was for like 3 days in Cleveland. And it's an ego thing. No doubt. They all want to sign the richest deal in the NFL. Is Micah? Yes, Micah is one of them. If you watch the Cowboys games, he's been all that since he was a rookie. He's only gotten better. Yeah, he is. And it's the Dallas Cowboys. They got the money. At this point, it's not even really about the money anymore. It's about how you make somebody feel and how you treat them. And that's the problem in Dallas. You often wonder, Jeremy, why do I have these issues with the Cowboys? Here's a good example. Now, I was going to say you don't see this with the Chiefs, but your team, but you actually do, right? Chris Jones went through it. I don't ever really remember Mahomes going through it. It does happen on other teams for sure. Jeremy says the Cowboys' biggest mistake was $60 million to Dak. Hello? Yeah, and that's the whole point about what I was saying last hour about Cowboys fans being brainwashed. Like the Rider fans get upset when I say they're brainwashed. That's what people that are brainwashed do. They get upset when they're told that. It's not an insult. But I bring up what you just said. Dak is overpaid, and all the Cowboys fans go nuts. I'm like, no, I'm not talking about it because I don't like to fight. Trust me, I don't. Brent in Wellington, Florida says, Hill for McLaurin trade rumor is like trading rat poison for mice poison. Oh, Tyreek Hill, is that what they're saying now? Yeah. Now you are luring me into your trap, the viewers. Because Brent from Wellington, Florida and I sit in his spacious living room with the palm trees swaying. And he loves the dirt. He loves the rumors. I hate them because they're a waste of time and energy. See, John Ohm, I love John Ohm. We broke the gong last hour, but he says, are the Dallas Cowboys still America's team, Rod? No, they haven't been for at least 20 years. We had Zig Fracassi on the program from NFL Radio. It was last year, and he said the Kansas City, maybe 2 years ago, he said the Kansas City Chiefs are now America's team. It depends on what your definition of that is. But it's not, if it's winning championships, then the Cowboys are definitely not America's team. You don't even hear that anymore. Oh, boy. On the sports regrets, what do you regret? Laverne and Swift Current writes in, he says, I don't have a lot of sports regrets. Usually I try to do what I want to. I never did see Tom Brady or Derek Jeter play live, which I guess I regret. Those are two of my favorite athletes. I'm very blessed to have seen Jeter play with the Yankees at the Blue Jays. We were there on a road trip with the Riders. As I mentioned last hour, I saw Tom Brady and the Patriots at San Diego. But I don't remember, I remember Tom, but what I took away from it was Robert Kraft driving around in a golf cart, throwing out hats and shaking hands. Hey, Ray in Scarborough writes in, he answered the bell. Ray in Scarborough, he says, hey, Rod, regarding Matthew Schaefer, it's my belief that he will start the season there, the Islanders, until about Christmas, and then go to the World Juniors, and then get sent back to Erie for their run in the playoffs. Well, the fact that he's signed, okay, means that, yeah, he could stay till Christmas for sure. Thank you for that. Kirk in Toronto says, for me, it's the old Yankees Stadium for baseball. For football, it's Candlestick in San Fran, the Dog Pound in Cleveland, and Three Rivers in Pittsburgh. Yeah, all stadiums you would have liked to have seen. Johnny in Winnipeg says, Happy Gilmore 2 is a good movie. He says the NFL is an $18 billion a year league. NHL above $6 billion. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yep. Jersey Jim in next to talk about all of this and more. We'll be right back here on the Game Plus Television Network, streaming live and found on all major podcast platforms.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. It is a Tuesday after the long weekend, back on the air, episode number 1548. We're pleased to welcome Jersey Jim Biringer with us from NHL Full Press to talk about a lot of sports-related things. Hey, Jimmy, hope the summer's going great for you up there in the tri-state area. But by the way, how is it going for you up there?
Yeah, it's going well. Outside of the 2 earthquakes we've had over the last couple of days here in New Jersey, we're doing pretty good, though. Good summer. Can't complain.
All right, good for you. Well, listen, before we get into Giants and the Jets, and I might have you take a swing at the poll question and some NHL questions too, we're having some fun today with this. Do you have a sports-related regret? Mine is going to Montreal for years for football and never going to an Expos game. I mean, I thought they'd be there forever, and they left, and I regret that. Do you have a sports regret that comes to mind?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. Probably when I was younger, not taking the time to go to, like, the old buildings in the National Hockey League, like the Maple Leafs Gardens and Forum and places like that. Like, those are places I would have really liked to see in the heyday. Like, I got to see, like, I've been there, but not during a game. So I would have loved to see them during game time.
You know what? A lot of the viewers are saying that. Original 6 NHL arenas. And you can put that on my list, too. I think the only one that I got to was Maple Leaf Gardens out of all of those. So now the poll question for EMJ Marketing is this. What's the biggest story in NFL training camps? The Micah Parsons trade demand in Dallas, the Cleveland Browns quarterback injuries, Aaron Rodgers and Pittsburgh, or other? You're close to the Giants and Jets scene. Is there something going on there that we're missing?
No, nothing that you're missing. I mean, I think a lot of people on the mothership, ESPN, talking about potentially Jackson Dart starting, but to outweigh Micah Parsons' trade demands in Dallas, the Dallas Cowboys are always going to dominate the NFL. That's the way Jerry likes it, and that's the way, he allows it to happen, right? With Micah Parsons in a podcast and him allowing guests on and him going on different podcasts as well. And when Micah goes on, he talks about, hey, I want to play for the Eagles, or I want to play for this coach or that coach. It would be great to you can see why there's a problem in Dallas right now. Jerry allows it, and it doesn't help that you don't want to pay your players. And go back to last year. Just imagine if you were allowed to pay Dak and CD before the season started. They would have had a lot more money. They would have gotten a running back. Maybe they would have been better. Same thing here. Now the cap hit's going to be higher for Micah when he does sign. I think that's the biggest story. It always is. For some reason, Dallas always finds a way into the news.
But it's not about winning. It's about drama, which maybe you might have seen before the break. The gentleman, John Ohm, said, are they still America's team? And I said, no, and I'm a Cowboys fan. It's the Chiefs now. But how would you answer that?
Yeah, I don't think they're America's team as much as they think they're America's team. They're not America's team. It's definitely Kansas City Chiefs. Before that, you could have made an argument when the Patriots were during their heyday. The New England Patriots were America's team. Whether you liked them or hated them, you watched them. And it's the same thing for the Kansas City Chiefs. Either you like them, you hate them, you're going to watch them. And it's similar to college football with Notre Dame, Miami, like all the big schools. Like big name, brand name, big schools you're going to watch. And Kansas City's a team you're going to watch now. Dallas, to me, right now, I watch Dallas because they play the Giants twice a year. And they're always on Fox, the national game. But if it wasn't for Dallas and the history that they had, they may not be on all the time.
Jimmy is fantastic at what he does. He can answer a variety of questions. Laverne in Swift Current, Saskatchewan writes in. And they love this show, Jim, because it's so interactive. He says, let's see who Jersey Jim's surprise team or teams are for the upcoming NFL season. And he points out, so far, Arash Madani mentioned New England or the Jets. Kenny Nagunst last week from 806 Sports in Texas said Carolina. Coach Jim Barker on Friday said the Chargers. Who do you think is going to take a big jump in the NFL this year?
I mean, the Chargers are a great pick. I'm going to stay in that division, though. Look out for the Raiders. Pete Carroll, what he's doing there. They got Aston Genty, the running back. Boise State, always liked him. I think that division is going to be a lot more competitive. I don't think the Chiefs are going to just steamroll anybody anymore. Denver's a good team. Chargers are a good team. Raiders are a good team. I think you have to watch out for the Raiders. Good quarterback. They have a great coach in there. Pete Carroll knows what he does. At the back end, half of Seattle wasn't the greatest. We know we can look what happened to the Super Bowl. Probably should have won back-to-back Super Bowl championships. Got to give the ball to Marshawn Lynch. Let's be honest here. But he's a good coach. He knows what he can do. Look what he did at USC in college. Again, the Seattle factor. I think the Oakland, I was about to say Oakland Raiders, the Vegas Raiders are going to take a big step this year in that division. I don't know if they're going to challenge for playoff spot, but they're going to be a lot more competitive than people think.
You know, I think I'm going to go with that. I mean, number one, it's a great question from Laverne. It's not one that I've spent 2 seconds thinking about until now, but I'm with you. And we had John Ryan on a couple of weeks back, a teammate, or he played for Pete Carroll. I guess he wasn't a teammate of Geno Lewis. I don't think their careers overlapped, or with the Seahawks. But he said 12, 13 wins he thinks for the Raiders. That would qualify as a huge jump. Like the Chargers already took a 6-win jump last year under Jim Harbaugh. Now, the other thing, the last time you were on with me, we talked about the Giants and the Jets, and I said, who's going to have more wins? And at that time, you weren't prepared to answer that question yet. What do you think now as we're over a week into training camp?
I'm going to say the Giants, to be honest. I think they're going to have more wins than the Jets. I know they have a tougher schedule than the Jets do, but I think the vibes of coming out of New York Giants training camp right now, and again, I always preface this by saying it's shorts and T-shirts. This isn't pads. We haven't played a game yet, but the vibes coming out of practice and what you're seeing on training camp, getting Tom Coughlin back in the fold, talking to the team. Brian Daboll seems to have a real game plan. They want to run the football, want to get the ball to Malik Neighbors. They want to get Hyatt involved. They have a great defense now. Yes, they're getting back to being the heavy, physical Giant team based on their D. You got Abdul Carter on the one end. So you got Kayvon Thibodeau on the other side. This Giants team, to me, is going to be better than the Jets will be. I know the Jets are playing a weaker division. I get it. But how trustworthy is Justin Fields? Is that line going to hold up? Can they have more question marks right now than the Giants do, in my opinion.
Well, it's not an exciting race. Let's put it that way, between the Giants.
Snoopy Bowl.
Yeah. It's a turtle race to the finish line. Scott in Vancouver writes in and he says, when Jerry Jones dies, relocate the Cowboys to the NFC South and put the Panthers in the East. Now, you don't understand, okay? I don't know who you cheer for, Scott. You're in Vancouver, so I assume it's the Seahawks. When Jerry Jones dies, it's going to his kids. They'll be running the team even further into the ground. So don't be dreaming about the day that Jerry Jones dies that things are going to change, because they're not going to change. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, I'm not a Chiefs fan, but I love Patrick Mahomes. Rich in Edmonton says, you can still say Oakland. I do. He's a Raiders fan. I feel like there's a lot of people that still say Oakland and will for a long time. John Ohm writes in, he says, I remember the days when Pittsburgh and Dallas were the teams to watch. Then it was the 49ers. Their time in the sun has faded. It's faded for all of them. I don't know. Why do you think this is what the NFL wants? I would say there's parity, yet the Chiefs have been in 6 Super Bowls, but the parity is high, right? More so than it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, you looked at it, you always knew who the teams were right away coming out. You could pick Pittsburgh, 49ers, you could say Dallas. Even during New England's heyday, you're going to say New England was always going to be there. Now, you could still put a handful of teams together, like the Buffaloes, Baltimores, Kansas Cities. But those are your top echelon teams. But after that, you're saying to yourself, everybody's kind of in that pack. Okay, Philadelphia, Washington's coming along. What about Green Bay? What's going to happen with Detroit? Are they going to be in the mix? I think one of the big X factors right now, if you look at in the NFC, is J.J. McCarthy, right? He's coming into a Minnesota team that is looking to win now. I've never been high on J.J. McCarthy because of what happened in Michigan. He didn't show me enough to show me he could throw the ball deep down the field, because they have the receivers like Justin Jefferson. They ran the ball so much at Michigan that I'm just not sold on J.J. McCarthy. When they asked him to do it, he couldn't throw that medium-range ball. It was always these dink and dunk plays, and now you miss a year. Now expectations are, Minnesota's going to – I'm just not sold Minnesota's going to do too much. 49ers are still there. There's a lot more teams in that middle in that pack after the upper echelon teams where you're like, yeah, I could see this team winning, or I could see that team winning. Before it was like, no, these are the teams, and that's who's going to be there.
Well, this is what's fun about this is the debate. Like, I became a J.J. McCarthy fan because of what he did at Michigan, won a national championship, and was open about some mental health struggles that he'd had and how he overcame them, right? So I'm really pulling for J.J. McCarthy in Minnesota and what he did. Darcy in Grand Prairie, Alberta writes in, he says, the L.A. Rams. I feel like the Rams are always going to be in the discussion because they've been to the top of the mountain. They know how to win. You can't, there's no, substitute for that. You can't buy that. The Rams will always be in the discussion. Brent in Wellington, Florida wants to know, does anyone feel Russell Wilson will be the starter for the Giants? He was named the starter the day they signed him, right? It's not even a debate.
Everybody assumed it the day he signed that he was going to be the starter, but Brian Daboll basically came out day one of training camp and said, Russ is our guy. Everybody else is battling to be the backup. And it's like, oh, okay, so we're not even going to have a quarterback, battle right now. We're just going to give it to Russ. And I'm like, okay, he makes the most money. I get it. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. I get that. But Jameis is there. He has potential. And the best thing for Jackson Dart is not even to play this season. I'll be honest. Learn from the sideline. Learn from these guys. If he does get in, it's because the Giants are way out of it. They want to see what he looks like, or there's injuries to the quarterbacks. He shouldn't even be seeing the field this year outside of the preseason, because that's the best thing for that development of that kid, because he has potential to be a really good quarterback in the NFL. But yeah, Russell Wilson is the starter in New York.
Well, I said it with Moose last hour. I can't believe the amount of comments that come out from our viewers when we start talking about the NFL. It would not be hard to do 2 hours of NFL talk every day. And we're going to switch to NHL here right away. But Wayne in BC says, I still like Russell Wilson, but is he the best pick for the starter's job? Well, who do they have there? Tommy Cutlets and Jameis Winston. If you're picking out of the three, it's not close.
No, it's not close. It's Russell Wilson. As much as I'm a Jameis guy, but Jameis is there to be the backup in the next couple of years. He signed a 2-year deal. So, yeah, they need to win now. They need to improve. Daboll's pretty much coaching for his life, though it looks like they're going to get extensions. Both of the guys, Joe Shane and Daboll, are going to get extensions because he just drafted the kid. So you have to see what he's going to do in your system. So you can't just fire the head coach at the end of the year. So that's a good move by the Giants. But it's Russ. It's not even close.
Oh, and Jackson Dart, as Jeremy points out. Thank you, Jeremy, for that. So Allie in Texarkana, 2 comments. She says, hi, Jim. Allie from Texarkana. And she says, let's not talk NFL for 2 hours every day. And that's what's beautiful about this show is we can switch gears. She's the big Dallas Stars fan. So I guess this would be a good question for you. You cover the Devils primarily. Look what's over your shoulder there. But you follow the Islanders and Rangers real closely, too. Matthew Schaefer signing last night, the number 1 overall pick. Do you think he plays with the Islanders this year? I do not.
I think he's going to get 9 games. I think he's going to get the look. Because I don't know if they sign him to entry-level deal to just right now just to say, hey, you're going back. I think there's been enough with the showcase and his time at the rookie camp and the games last year to say, hey, let's see what this kid has for 9 games. Now, there was a potential option on the table for him to go play college hockey. But now that he's signed his entry-level deal, he can't do that, which is stupid, and that could be a whole nother show for 2 hours about why that should be the case because of NIL, but we're not getting into that. But he's going to go play in the juniors for Team Canada, and he'll go play junior, and then we'll see him reevaluate and come back and help his team later on. I think he's going to get the look, and I think he starts with the Islanders.
Okay, cool. Well, I was with a bunch of hockey guys last week. I know you saw it. My dad went into the Hall of Fame for Scouts.
Yeah.
Shout out Dallas Stars, and Allie would be very happy. The Stars recognized my dad and Stu McGregor and Dennis Holland and all the guys that went in under the Dallas Stars banner, which was pretty cool of them to do because not every NHL team did do that. But the talk amongst the Scouts, you can just imagine what it was, Jim, was the NIL thing. And they were like, with these guys that are draft eligible going to college. You brought it up, so I didn't know if I should or not. The Scouts
bring it up.
Oh, well, the Scouts were like, just Gavin McKenna, for instance, going to Penn State, the number 1 overall pick. They're like, he's going to be playing against 22-year-old men. Like, he will not dominate in college like he would have in junior or even the World Juniors. They're like, we're not saying he won't be successful. This is from pro full-time NHL scouts. But was it the best decision for him to do that? Did he just jump at the money? Will this hurt him come draft time? And I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, look, I think it's going to be good for him to go play college hockey, because how often do you see these guys go back into junior and just dominate and then go to the NHL and they take a step back? Playing against men will really help him. And if he averages a point per game in college, that's really good. That's what James Higgins did. And that, for some reason, wasn't good enough for the scouts come the NHL draft, and he dropped to 7. And I think there was a lot of over-scouting on James Higgins. And I think this is going to be good for McKenna. Part of Martone's going to play college hockey. I think you're going to see – it all depends on the player too, right? Like, some will go to college hockey. Some will say, hey, I played college, and then maybe see what the junior ranks are. I think there'll be a lot of going back and forth. But the problem is the NIL right now, what it's meant for and what it's become are two different things. You were supposed to be paid for your name, image, and likeness. It wasn't, hey, come play for us. We'll pay you X amount of dollars to come play for us. That's what it's become.
I'm so I gotta go for a run after this, or maybe a bathe in the Moose Jaw Mineral Spa, because there was some old timers, football old timers, 2 of them, and big names. If I mentioned them, people would know that they're watching. When this NIL deal started, what was it, 3, 4, 5 years ago? When it
something like that.
Yeah, the dam broke on it. I was in these high school football locker rooms in Florida, and the players were talking about so-and-so's getting this, so-and-so's getting this. And it wasn't just football, it was basketball. They don't talk hockey down there, but I was mentioning that on the air. And these old codgers wrote in and said, Rod, NIL money is not to be used for recruiting. Do you guys actually believe that? Do you actually believe that? These were suits, These are what the rules are. Then get off your ass and get down to the locker room and see what's really going on. Okay? Because that's entirely what it's being used for. And it ticks me off that they either are that ignorant or you're trying to lie to me. Anyways, who has more points this year? No, hang on. Jeremy writes in and he says, what's the over-under on points for Demidov in Montreal? He's got it at 70. That kid was something, wasn't he?
He was something. He looked really good coming in from Montreal. I'm gonna push. I'm gonna stay at 70. I don't know if he goes over. I think I'm gonna push it. At there. If I'm gonna be honest, if I'm really gonna bet it, I would probably go under, just because that division's so tough. How many looks does he get? Going over would be a tough ask, right, in a full season.
I'm gonna take the over.
Got the talent.
I'll take the over, because he's going to be on the top 2 lines in Montreal, and they play fire wagon hockey. Put him with Line A, put him with Slavkovsky. Like, it's not like Bedard. The fact that he was even close to a point a game on that bunch of Clydesdales in Chicago is a miracle. Jim, this went by really fast. Can we do this again soon?
Absolutely. Anytime, brother. Anytime.
All right. Jersey Jim Biringer from NHL Full Press. Say hey to your mom for me. Our biggest fan down there in New Jersey. Yeah, all right. And we'll be coming right back with a sports update. And they got me fired up here. We'll be coming right back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way. 902-518-3033, the number to reach us on the Western Dodge text line. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television and streaming.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Really awesome and fun chat there with Jersey Jim Biringer. Miss seeing that guy. Full press NHL. NHL Full Press. If you missed it, you can go back and catch the podcast or the replay here on Game Plus Television. I got to tell you something. I forgot to tell you guys. I was watching Game Plus last night after I got home from the movies. Did you know, Corey, there is a sport called professional tag? The games we used to play as kids? Professional, there's like World Tag Tour or something like that. WTT. You guys, were you aware of it? He says yes. Oh, okay. So it's getting bigger. Okay. I was going to say, for the guys that are watching at Game Plus Television right now, write me on the text line, please. Western Dodge, 902-518-3033. What is the name of that professional tag league? Because I flipped it on. I'm like, I'm going to see what's on Game Plus right now. And I'm like, it was like two grown men, almost like on a playground, but indoors in a stadium, chasing each other. It was oddly fascinating. I'm not joking. I couldn't change the channel. Professional tag. Sunday nights, I guess Monday nights, here on Game Plus Television. 902-518-3033. Just for spits and giggles, let me know what your favorite, well, not even favorite, what your biggest sports regret is. Hate to bring it up and be a Debbie Downer, but it just so happened when I mentioned I didn't go to an Expos game when I could have for all those years going to Montreal, and then the team left. How much does that suck? Moose's was never being able to see Tom Brady live. I would, obviously, you know me, I prefer to stress the positives because I've had an unbelievable sports career being able to see all those things. Not a lot of regrets. Saw Gretzky live, Jagger live, Lemieux live, Michael Jordan live. Saw him in Portland with the Bulls. Didn't see the Expos live. Sports update for Seat Giant. Winnipeg defensive lineman Willie Jefferson, Saskatchewan quarterback Trevor Harris, and the Roughriders offensive line earned top marks in the CFL's Week 9 honor roll. Willie earned a grade of 99.3 in the Blue Bombers' 40-31 win over visiting Toronto Friday night. A career-high 4 pass knockdowns, which isn't hard when you consider he's got a 7-foot wingspan, along with a defensive tackle, a forced fumble, and a strip sack, resulting in a Bombers touchdown. Doug Brown will be on one day soon. All you Winnipeggers that are watching right now, do me a favor. If you happen to have Doug Brown's cell number or you follow him on social media, blow up his phone and say you want to see him on the RP show. Doug Brown is a great guy. Number 97, Hall of Famer, defensive tackle with the Blue Bombers. I've been trying to get him, trying to get Knuckles for weeks for a Winnipeg Blue Bomber breakdown. And Doug's always working. He's always doing his thing. Knuckles is always golfing or at a family member's wedding or whatever. But Doug would be easier to reach on social media. Would you please blow up his phone and tell him, we want to see you on the RP show, Doug. Quit dodging him. Trevor Harris completed 70.4% of his passes for 289 yards, and the Riders win at Montreal. And the Riders' O-line combined for a score of 75.1 after limiting the Alouettes to just 1 sack in the victory. The CFL Honor Roll highlights players in 9 positions based on data points registered and compiled by Pro Football Focus. With the start of the college football season less than a month away, the time has come to unveil the preseason college football coaches poll. Texas opens at number 1 for the first time in coaches poll history. The Longhorns, projected among the early favorites in the crowded SEC, were voted first by 28 of 67 panelists. They'll get an immediate challenge to that lofty perch, however, as their Week 1 opponent, OSU, is number 2. The Buckeyes received 20 first-place votes. Penn State, number 3. Georgia will begin the season at number 4, and Notre Dame comes in at number 5. The sports update is brought to you by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian-owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. They've got it all. Use promo code RPShow for 15% off now. Check us out at SeatGiant.ca. So yes. College football a month away. NFL teams in training camp. The CFL headed to Week 10. We are coming up on the time of year that is owned by football. But we like our hockey too, and that's why I'm wearing a Stanley Cup champion shirt today. The Panthers. Overtime is next right after this here on Game Plus Television.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, everybody, we're here for overtime. I didn't put on the overtime jacket that I got from Randy from Overtime Hockey Lanes because that mother is warm. And it's 27 degrees Celsius here in the Canada's most notorious city. I have yet to figure out why they call this city that, but I will find out. And that works out to about 80 Fahrenheit. But Overtime is brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, as you know, an amusement park for hockey players. And I don't know, Allie, if you tuned in last week, she's here today having fun. That was something with Darren Fleury here yesterday, last Wednesday. Man, been a fast week. Live from Overtime Hockey Lanes. And I'll say it now. He's like, I'm not real big on these places. He had never been to Overtime Hockey Lanes. And I'm like, Theo, let's not get it twisted. It's not a training center. And even Randy, who owns it, came on the air and said, it's not a training center. This is all about fun. But that interview with Darren was, I hope people were actually listening, not just hearing it. You know, Randy says the kids come in and want to do the Michie. I didn't even know what that was. And I'm like, oh, the Michigan. I had spent the night before that with 400 to 500 NHL scouts. They're not out scouting the players that can do the Michies the best. They're out scouting the guys that take their man along the wall, or gal, you know what I mean? Win a face-off in the defensive zone with a minute to go. That's who they're looking for. Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, Jersey Jim with a rundown of all three New York City teams for the RP show in October. Sign me up for that. We'll have Jim back on the air long before October. I can tell you that for free, but he does such a great job. Give him a follow on Twitter at Jim Biringer, on Instagram at Jersey Jim Biringer. The guy works more than anybody else I know in this business, man. He works hard. Brent from Wellington, Florida writes in and he says, Chucky is on the cover of NHL 2026. Matthew Tkachuk, of course. That's the biggest news really in the state of Florida, hockey-wise, and maybe NHL-wide. Aside from the Islanders signing Matthew Schaefer, is Matthew Tkachuk on the cover of NHL 2026. Apparently the last Panther to be on was John Van Beesbrook. Jeremy writes in and says, on the Cowboys depth chart, Micah Parsons is listed as defensive end. Same thing, outside linebacker, D-end. At least he's still on the depth chart. Paul in Humboldt writes in, he says, when I saw that Marv Levy just turned 100 years old, I thought maybe Pete Carroll is not old to be an NFL coach after all. Gray power. Born in 1950, Pete Carroll, I believe. 74, 75 this year. Oh, on the World Chase. It's World Chase Tag. Thank you, Tony from Cochrane, Alberta. World Chase Tag on Game Plus. It is more fun than you think. Allie's right. She says, fun show today, y'all. Hope everyone has a fantastic afternoon. It has been fun today, which is what I had hoped it would be. That's what we do here. We aim to have fun. Greg in Calgary writes in, who I had the great pleasure of meeting. Great guy. He came down to Overtime Hockey Lanes on a Wednesday. He says, Jersey Jim is right. 9 games or less saves 1 year of his entry-level deal. Go Devils, go. Are you a Devils fan, Greg? No, you're not. But that's the deal. If you play 10 games, the contract kicks in for the whole year. So they get 9. That sounds more reasonable to me that Matthew Schaefer would play 9 with the Islanders. But this Ray in Scarborough, Ontario, he knows his hockey. He knows his way around the rink. And he says they're going to keep him till Christmas. That's the word. I'll mention this because it's the league that I work in. When I look at tonight's Sports on Tap, I'm not working in Major League Baseball yet, but the Blue Jays are at Colorado for Game 2 of their series. The Western Canadian Baseball League playoffs get going on Wednesday with Game 1s. My Moose Jaw Miller Express at the Saskatoon Berries Wednesday night. That name is just taken off like wildfire. I love it. The other division semifinal is Regina Red Sox at Medicine Hat Mavericks. In the West, Okotoks Dogs taking on the Brooks Bombers, and Sylvan Lake taking on Lethbridge. Tonight is our wind-up, and that's going to be big fun. Big fun. I'm going to hand out the team awards. I knew that I was going to have more fun at it last year with the guys and gals, players and staff. It was more fun than I thought. It's just such a great baseball league, and sad that it's coming to an end, but the most exciting part begins Wednesday with playoffs. So that's fantastic. I have no idea who's going to be on the program tomorrow aside from Moose. So stay tuned, everybody. What I can assure you is it's going to be great. You're right, Scott, by the way, in Saskatoon, or from Vancouver. He says, yummy Saskatoon berries. They're my favorite berry. I like them all. Strawberries, blueberries, choke cherries. But the Saskatoon is the best. There ain't no doubt about that. Thank you to Jersey Jim. Thanks to Moose. Thanks to the Skycron crew and everybody else for tuning in. And we'll do it all again tomorrow. Check out our social media feeds if you don't mind. Instagram at The Rod Pedersen Show. On Twitter at Rod Pedersen Show. And, of course, Facebook, where we have so much going on there. The discussion continues even when we're not on air, right? The 22 hours that we're outside of air. Theron Fleury's comments on Aston Matthews last week really got people talking. Daryl Sutter on his 89-year-old mother, Grace, should be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. That got people going. It's just so much fun. Tony from Cochrane says, I like Chinese checkers more. Yeah, that's a fun. It's all great. It's all deadly. Navy Don in Ottawa says, adios all. Same to you, Don. Fair winds. And again, we'll do it tomorrow, noon Eastern here on Game Plus. Streaming live and, of course, all major podcast platforms.
Now I'm the whore and the pimp. That's where the money is.
How about that?